Welcome to Explore Parenting Growth, the channel where we help parents confidently guide their children towards success in life and career. Each week, we bring you real conversations, proven strategies, and inspiring stories to strengthen your parenting journey. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest challenges facing parents today: technology and our kids. I'm joined by Danny and Jenny Brown, who both bring professional expertise and real life experiences raising their children as well as working within the digital world. Danny and Jenny, thank you guys so much for being with us today on the show.
We're excited to be on it. Thank you.
Oh, I'm definitely excited to have you. And I would love to kind of just jump right into our first question. And it is, what in technology are what are kids going through with technology today that most parents completely underestimate?
Well, first of all, in my personal opinion, everything out there that is free is not really free. Your kids, including the adults, are all lab rats, and everything is behavioral based. It's just the same way sugar is put in all your foods is the same way social media and internet is to kids as well as family members. So I would tell you that today our behaviors are being adjusted little by little towards a narrative.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we're not holding back from the get-go here, I guess.
Don't want you guys to hold back. Please, Jenny, share.
I think that's true. I think what's really important is teaching your kids discernment and the digital, whether that's Facebook, Pinterest, all the social media platforms. That's the new environment that they have. I mean, back in my day, as my kids always like to tease me with that phrase, back in your day, back in my day, it was magazines or TV shows that were part of our environment and what influenced us. And so nothing is new there in the sense of there's always outside influences. It's just a matter of having discernment and teaching your kids discernment, meaning helping them to understand that not everything that is presented to them is actually the full truth. It's, there are a lot of content creators. It's just literally one person's opinion or one person's take on a particular matter, and don't take it as the actual truth.
Yep.
But that's just a life skill too. It's not just applicable, to their digital world, but that's just, even among your friend group, just in real life, that's a good skill to have.
Absolutely. Now, Danny, you just mentioned that we're all lab rats. So with your understanding of how platforms work and how they're designed, what are kids actually up against when they simply open up a phone?
I think most kids are up against what I call fake realism, which is what other kids like them in their age are supposed to be. Whether that be an image, whether that be setting up a channel with like YouTube or Pinterest and not getting enough likes. It's that image that is being perceived that's not real. And this is what I call the ability to not see the truth, even though the truth is in front of you. So I think that's really what kids are up against. They're up against the what billionaires and big corporations want kids to think they should be. And because they're not what they think they should be, they self-esteem is not necessarily there. So I think they're up against a battlefield, up against an environment that really they've never been prepared to go up against.
Wow, interesting.
As far as platforms go, I mean, there are a number of them, ChatGPT or any of those AI types of chats. I know that in our household, we've had conversations with our children that it is an app and it is built by human beings. And so it has flaws. There was that story in the news of a young man who was literally encouraged to, he was having suicidal thoughts and he was encouraged to, he wanted to show his family. He said, "Oh, I'm going to put the noose on my bed so that my family members can see." And ChatGPT literally encouraged him to not do that. And he eventually took his life. We tell stories like that to our kids. I know as parents, sometimes it can feel, it's tempted to feel tired or like you're just, constantly giving them these stories of these warnings of different things. But that's part of our job, honestly. And it shouldn't be, even if it is a weird feeling, like just embrace that weird feeling. I don't know if you've ever felt like that, Corey, where you're just, you keep running across these different stories, and then you want to share it with your child, and you feel like you're just kind of a constant source of sharing these scary
Yes,
stories.
absolutely.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
too. So it's
Hmm.
not to scare them. And I tell them that too. It's like, hey, mommy's not telling you this to literally so that you can live in fear. It's so that you can have a level of awareness that maybe you didn't have before. And now you can make better choices. So, ChatGPT was one example. Netflix, what we thought was we had set it to kid settings
Hmm.
for Netflix. So they have their own profile. We have our profiles. And what Netflix thinks is appropriate for, a young age group, we don't align to that.
Yeah.
So, it's really our responsibility. The more stuff we give them access to, the more responsibility that we have to oversee what are they actually being exposed to. I don't know if there's any other apps that I can think of.
It's interesting what you said about Netflix and their ratings because I recall, even though my son's a little bit older, he's 21, but when he was in his middle school, teen years, and he want to go to a movie. Well, a movie that's rated PG-13 doesn't just because someone else is telling me it's PG-13, it doesn't
Right.
mean it's PG-13 for our household,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, honestly, on that note, there's things that I don't want to watch personally, even if
Yeah.
it's rated R and I'm allowed to watch it. Like, that doesn't mean that I want that to be in my mind. That doesn't mean that
Sure.
I want that, to be something that's presented to me. The only other thing I was thinking about as far as platform goes is social media, of course, and algorithms, and how
Hmm.
we're basically, as we click on something, like something, follow somebody, we're training the algorithm. We're telling it, this is what I like. This is what I align to. And so the algorithm continues to feed us more of that because the job of the algorithm is just to keep us on the platform. And
Yes.
so we teach our kids that if you have a certain opinion about something and you keep liking that thing, commenting on posts like that, you're just going to get more of that. And so you start to believe that the entire world, it's a little bit hyperbolic, but that becomes your reality. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, a lot of people agree with me. And so then you start to have a very skewed view versus understanding multiple perspectives about a certain topic.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely great feedback from both you guys. In a world where social media is sending, so many messages or different messages to our kids specifically, what should parents do or be teaching their kids about influence, validation, and comparison?
Well, first of all, I think there's a reason why influencers are multimillionaires today. They drive behavior, and corporations sponsor them, so they drive even more behavior. And we know that sometimes narratives are going to be pushed if you're being compensated that way.
Hmm.
So that's the first thing we need to think about. The second is when kids are being influenced, their self-esteem is also being influenced. If they're not like that creator, or they don't have, as we talked about before, the number of views that this creator has, then their
Yeah.
self-esteem is part of that. And the way to get over that is to invest in these sponsored type commercials in order to improve your self-esteem, to buy these characters, or to buy certain outfits, or to buy certain things in order to improve your self-worth. And the last thing is more of this instant gratification, this fear of missing out. Well, my friend's got this new um, drink mug, whatever. My wife's like, hey, let's go buy this drink mug, whatever. Stanley, that's what it's called, Stanley. And I said, what do you want to buy? This is what truckers use, but kids nowadays want them. And I just didn't understand why. And it's because of the things that our daughters are watching. So I think really at the end of the day, the technology is influencing our kids' self-worth. And if we don't monitor it, or we don't do daily affirmations with our own children, they can grow up with lower self-esteem. And it's very important that we don't allow technology to influence them that way.
So this is something I'd love for you guys to do for me. Walk us through a normal day in your household. So in terms of, the technology, where does it show up? Where does it not show up? And or is it intentionally used and not intentionally used?
This is your question.
Okay, this is my question, he says. Well, we don't have electronics at the dinner table. We just call it electronics. So that's laptops, tablets, phones, and that's parents and kids,
Or books, because we
and books as
want to
well.
have conversations.
Yeah, so the point is, it's not even, to Danny's point, it's not even just about electronics. It's also about just distractions. And it's about making an intentional decision to spend time together, to connect with one another as family members, to have conversation. It could be small talk. It could be about, what was great about today, what was not so great about today. It could be any of those things, but being very intentional and having a set time and regular times where we are doing that undistracted.
Yep.
And what has that practice done for you and your family in terms of the dinner time and the connection? Tell me, what difference has that made?
I'm going to say that for our children, they learn how to ask good questions in a small window of time. And
Hmm.
here's what I mean. When we take our kids out with us, we actually take our kids with us to business meetings, because this year we decided to homeschool our kids, and that could be part of this conversation later or another story. But they've learned how to ask great questions to strangers because you realize that they only have 30 seconds to a minute before that stranger's attention span wants to move on to something else. And so they take advantage now at dinner, at breakfast, at lunch to ask great questions that are meaningful, that actually makes a person say, tell me more. And that's really what they've learned to do, is have deeper conversations in a very short window. And I think it helped them to be a little bit more mature because most of our clients want to hire them. Like they're kids, but it's because of the fact that they're able to get straight to the fact.
Excellent. I'm sure they wanted to hire them because asking great questions is a very important skill
Hmm.
to have for sure.
And I'll just tag on to what Danny was saying about car rides. Sometimes as parents, we are like, oh, I have to take my kid to soccer. I have to take my child to this and that. And we are chauffeuring them. But the car ride, because there are no distractions, if you tell your child, put the phone away, it doesn't mean you have anything to say, but it's creating empty space where they do often, actually, during car rides, share with us something that is vulnerable,
Mm.
something that they care about. Sometimes it's just small talk and we're laughing,
Yeah.
but it is time where they're, what do you call it? Where they're trapped with us.
Yeah.
And the dinner table can be the same thing, where
Yeah.
it's just a carved out time where, like, there's nothing else for you to do except for talk to us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a great opportunity.
I totally agree. I would say for my son and I, car times are one of the biggest times or major times for us to connect with one another. Whether I was driving him to school, whether I drove him to track practice, whatever it may be. And I agree with you, Jenny, kind of laughingly, but they are trapped. And so it's like I gotta go to my room. No, they're there and we're able to have that quality time. So it's excellent. What would you guys say the difference between controlling tech and training kids to handle it is?
For me, it's really about teaching kids how to have a balance. And that's really training. You have to train them to have a balance. And my girls understand that some things can be good for you, but too much of it can be bad. And it's just like drinking water. You can drink water to give you nourishment, but you drink way too much, it can actually become poisonous to your body. And we teach them the same thing with tech. It's really about having that right balance. How much time do they need to be on it? What does it look like? Are they using it for good? Are they using it for bad? Does it control them? If we take it away, what will happen? And if we take it away and they get angry or they react, it's an addiction. So we have to teach them how to have a good balance. And our kids now, they start to realize that, hey, dad or mom says that, we need to take a break or we need to have a balance. And this has been great for us to kind of give them a little bit of what I call leeway to learn how to adapt this for themselves. So as they get older, they'll learn how to create their own boundaries. So we're giving them a boundary without forcing it on them, but more of a suggestion. And they've kind of adopted it.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. What is the difference between controlling versus training your child as far as technology goes, but also in general, right? And it's something that we talk through all the time with various decisions that we need to make when we encounter a new situation. Dan and I talk about, okay, well, how do we want to parent in this particular situation? And I wish that we could purely train and coach. That's my preference, which is basically where we're teaching them how to make good decisions for themselves and we're giving them guidelines. And then there are times as a parent where we would literally need to tell them that this is a boundary. And, imagine, like, I mean, the classic one is crossing the street. I'm not going to suggest and coach you on how to cross the street. I'm going to tell you if a car is coming, you just don't go. That's a very strict, direct, clear boundary, and that's appropriate because it's
Yeah.
going to save their life. And so, with every situation, we as parents need to make that judgment call on: is this a training opportunity, or is this like we're just going to tell them what
Yeah.
to do? Of course,
Now,
telling also, I mean, we would explain, right? We explain
sure.
the reason that you don't cross the street while a car is coming at you is because you're going to go to the hospital and possibly die.
Right.
So, it always comes with the telling, always comes with an explanation.
Excellent. Now, you guys are in what I would call a high performing household. Both of you guys are high level entrepreneurs. Your girls are, successful in different realms of their life. I know your younger daughter does gymnastics. Your other daughter is involved in entrepreneurship as well. So, with that in perspective, and again in a high performing household, what does a healthy tech conversation actually sound like?
Well, for us, it's we first of all started off in the very beginning with time limits, and we use software to put time limits on their tech. So they already know if I go over, I'm done. I can't get on anymore. So that's the first thing we did in order to do balance. Um, Healthy conversations and healthy talks are more of suggestions and questions for the kids. If we say, well, what's happening? What are you learning from this? And if they can't give a clear answer what they're learning, then they know that they shouldn't be on it. But if they can say that, I had a research paper or I have a project or I want to launch my own online store, here's what I learned, then that's a different discussion. And then the next would be, why use this app over another app? And they can actually articulate that, then that tells me that they're learning something, and it's not just because that's the fad at the time where everyone has to do it and everyone has to do it. So it's more of having suggested conversation. Our kids are old enough now where they're curious, and so as parents we have to ask more curious questions, and it gets them to think more, and they actually set their own rules and boundaries and have a good dialogue. They actually explain why they're doing certain things to us to help us understand what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's just adding on to what Danny is saying about asking questions. I think that's really what a healthy conversation is. It's a two-way conversation. It's not just like, as we were talking about before, not just my commanding you and my just talking at you and telling you this is what to do and here's why, but it's a conversation back and forth, which means that, we're asking questions. Why do you want to watch that TV show? What is it that you like about that TV show? So let's say that, oh, well, I like that, there's adventure. I like the characters. I like this character because they're like this, if I don't like that TV show, can I help them get their need met, that what they're explaining to me, with a healthier alternative, right? Like same thing with food. Why do you want to eat 8 pieces of cheesecake? Well, because it's sweet. I like the way it tastes. This and that. Well, why don't we substitute some strawberries instead? Something, a healthy alternative. So it's understanding your kids more. It's understanding our kids more, understanding why are they doing something, not just that they are doing it, and then helping them to get their needs met.
Excellent. Gotcha. Um, for the parents that are listening, and they may feel like, hey, my child is already ahead of them in technology, because I would say the vast majority of parents are not in the field that you guys are in, right, or have the level of expertise, and they may not have clear boundaries, and they may worry about I've already lost so much ground with my kid in terms of technology and what to do, how to handle the situation. What would you say the first three things they should do this week to kind of get on top of that, or start to have their own bearings in terms of that, in terms of technology?
I think that the first thing they need to do is just take a step back and pause. We need to know what are they doing. I think that's very important. What are they doing? And a lot of times we don't know why kids are doing what they're doing, but if you take a step back and just ask the question, what are you doing? And why are you doing it? How many times a day, how many hours a week, or how many hours a day are you doing it? This gives us a frame of reference. That's the first
Hmm.
thing. The second thing is the boundaries we talked about. There's a couple of boundaries. We know that you don't do this and you don't do that. So because your child and you have already set certain boundaries in the past, you're just reconfirming it. And it's not about putting your foot down. What you're trying to do is you're trying to establish an agreement in the very beginning. So as you take a step back to understand, hey, what's going on, what are you doing? I don't understand this AI thing. Whatever you're doing, tell me more about it. What does it look like? Now, remember, we talked about in the past that there was a 2 hour time limit, and then anything you do, you have to ask yourself, is this benefiting me? Is it benefiting my family? Am I learning something from it? So you're already getting the kid to say yes again, right? That's like the second thing you want to do with the kid. And the last thing is just having that open conversation. Hey, I don't understand everything that you're doing. I don't know if it's controlling you. I don't know if it's impacting you, but I have noticed your behavior has changed. Is this something that we should be talking about? So if you do those things, I think as a parent, it allows you to be on a plane where they look at you still as authoritative figure, but not being punished, but more of
Yeah.
explaining and that we're doing this together. And I like that aspect as well because you don't have to know everything. My daughter put together a movie with music and with animation, all done by AI. All three different AI tools with the story that she created, and she put them all together. And I was just blown away. I don't know how she did it, and I'm in AI. I don't know which tool she used. And I
Yeah.
asked question, hey, what was the tool you used? Tell me, how did you find out about it? Well, I saw it on TikTok. Well, okay, first of all, we'll talk about the TikTok later, but why did you think this tool was safe to look at? Why did you think this tool was safe to use? And so we had great conversation, but I think it went back to those three things. If I just take a step back and I pause and ask good open-ended questions, it invites them in because they're curious, they want to explain it to you, and they don't take it personal. Then you reestablish the boundaries, and after you reestablish boundaries, you can move forward with a better conversation. So those would be the things I think are needed from every parent, whether it's something you understand or not, to get the kid to be involved.
Yeah, and I know I asked for three different things they could do, but Jenny, if you have anything that you'd like to add, totally feel free to jump in.
Well, I would say that there's two that we've already talked about, which is building connection and helping them to have their needs met. But the first one, which is the foundational, is to understand yourself. So
Mm.
your question was something about what if you feel like you have a less adequate understanding of technology compared to your children? Well, first of all, that's probably true in most circumstances because it's like learning French when you're 2 years old or another language when you're 2 years old versus learning a language when you're 58. You just have an ability to absorb, and that's how they are with technology compared to us, older folks. Um, so that is true, but that doesn't mean that you're still very much an adequate parent. So your lack of understanding of technology doesn't mean that doesn't equate to your lack of understanding of how to parent. And so parenting, I believe, is our biggest test, or is one of the biggest tests that we
Sure.
have as a human being in regards to how we show up as a
Mm.
person. What, different trauma, emotional baggage,
Hmm.
uh, self perceptions, feelings of worthiness or unworthiness, feelings of belonging or not belonging, are we already wrestling with that is now translating into our parenting our kids. So when you talked about having parents who are afraid that it's too late, or parents who are afraid that they didn't set a healthy boundary yet, well, why didn't we set a healthy boundary yet? Is it because we want to be our kids' friends? Is it not their parent? Is it because we want to be liked by our kids? Is it because we are afraid that they're going to, run away from us, whether that's emotionally or physically,
Sure.
right? Is it out of fear that we're not doing certain things that would actually serve our child? And so before we can do the best thing for our child, we have to look within and say, like, why am I behaving this way? Or why am I not setting a boundary? What fears do I have or what's holding me back? If doing that, taking that action would actually serve my child, and the goals that I have for them, then it really starts with understanding yourself and being able to, maybe process, like, for example, if you have a parent that never gave you words of affirmation, never told you that they were proud of you, all that stuff, maybe now you're seeking that in your child, is you're seeking approval and you're seeking, you
Hmm.
know um that words of encouragement from your child, but that's misplaced. you
Sure.
you're a human, you still need those things, But in this context, it's actually to the detriment of your child if you're not setting boundaries for the sake of your getting affirmation and encouragement.
Yeah, absolutely. As we are living in this world of AI, and I can't imagine what AI is going to look like. I mean, honestly, really 6 months to a year from now. But if we kind of just look even further into the future and we say, hey, 10 years from now, what are the things that are going to separate kids who thrive versus those who struggle in a technology driven world?
Well, I think first of all, there's a couple things. One, be okay with failing. And a lot of times when you think about the children, they're more willing to fail to succeed than when you're a grown up. I think that's very important. Number two is the ability to be disciplined. And I think that what separates the future in 5 to 10 years or 10 to 20 years is not access to the technology, because we're doing a lot today to give people the last mile, right? We call it the last mile. And so what that's going to separate the kids is discipline.
Mm.
Am I willing to spend 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, hour a day to get better at any craft? It doesn't matter if it's AI, if it's a blue collar job, white collar job, it doesn't matter. Anything in your life. Am I willing to spend time and make it consistent? Because that consistency builds the muscle. That muscle will build your future. And that's what I call being disciplined with technology. And then number three is never being afraid to learn and adapt. I think that's what makes kids kind of amazing. Our kids, I'm just blown away. We actually had a professor who's considered number three in the world when it comes to AI education, and we met this professor in Ohio at an event. And after speaking with our one of our kids, he said, "I want to personally tutor you because
Wow.
you have what I want everyone else to have when I sit down with them as an educator in AI, and it's that the curiosity, the discipline." That she has, the ability to ask good questions. It's okay to fail. And he even asked her, "What have you tried?" And she listed all the tools, what worked, what didn't work. And it was just really impressive to him. And I think the last thing is the ability to realize that time is limited. So be careful with your words and ask great questions immediately. I think in 10 years, the people that can do those things are going to be successful. If your child has that soft-based communication skills to be able to ask the right questions in the right time frame to get people curious and say, "Tell me more," that's even more impressive than learning AI. That's even more impressive learning technology, because that separates you as a leader. I can always hire techs. I can always hire other people to do other functions, but I can't hire people to always ask the right questions and to get people engaged verbally, mentally, spiritually. And I think that's going to be so much more important in the future. So I think it's really about learning how to fail forward, learning to be disciplined, and then actually having the soft-based communication skills. That's what's going to be so more important 10 years, I think.
Yeah, I will just add to that. What Dan touched on was character and basically having an internal compass, if you will. I'll add to that discernment, being able to make good choices. And finally, just being a creator versus purely a consumer. Is it okay to just, watch cat videos on the internet? Sure, of course. Like just but realize like how many cat videos you want to watch? Like 2 hours worth or 5 minutes worth or 15 minutes worth, right? And just making some decisions around that. I feel that just like for me, I lived through, and I'm Dan as well. I think, in college when Google was introduced to me. And so I grew up like we didn't email our teachers growing up. Like we just had paper pen. We didn't even use computers, I don't think, in the classroom. Not I didn't use a computer in class until I got to college. And so we lived through, no internet to now there's internet. And
Yep.
AI is very similar to that big shift in society and the economy, in that while there's a lot of bad stuff. Like all the bad stuff can scale,
Hmm.
like from on the internet, if you know what I mean, criminal activity, all that kind of stuff.
Well,
And also
yeah,
all the good stuff can scale. So now I can
yeah.
talk to my mom on WhatsApp or, Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, or whatever it's called, right? And so uh, just teaching your kids that there's some, watch out for the negative stuff and then use it as an opportunity. Don't waste the opportunity.
Yeah, that's some really good advice and really good guidance. I think that was the last question I had, but I just wanted to say this. I really enjoyed our conversation today, and it helped me personally as I thought about technology because technology, AI, of whatever it may be, is not all just about the technical things that go with that, but it's also about the inner person, the discipline that you guys mentioned, the discernment that you guys mentioned. Those things play such a key part. I really took that away from our conversation today. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the conversation. Thank you so much for your time. So grateful to have you on the show today.
We're grateful to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Corey. Enjoyed it.
Well, as we say always when we sign off, parenting is a journey. Explore your growth.